Welcome to a Shot in the Arm podcast. I'm your host, Ben Plumley, and we are wrapping up in Rio de Janeiro for AIDS 2026. But before we do, we managed to get in touch with Zarawu Adams from Ghana to get a final sense from her on how her week went and how she's going to take back lessons learned. Zarawu, welcome back to a Shot in the Arm.
No, thank you.
How are you doing? Are you tired?
Yeah, kind of exhausting because I had to attend the youth program, at the same time the mentorship program, and my sessions I'm interested in attending.
Oh, so it's all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
That's a true AIDS conference experience. So you've been baptized.
Yeah.
Of the presentations you've seen this week, what's really stood out to you? What really captured you?
Yeah, because I'm so much interested in metabolism crisis. I saw one research, it's a poster presentation that is also focusing on like metabolism crisis connecting to HIV/AIDS. It's fascinating. They are actually focusing on pregnant women.
And, you know, your axiom, your thesis that starting on antiretrovirals for HIV treatment can put a patient at risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Have you had many conversations with other scientists here? And are they experiencing the same thing? Or is this still fairly unique to your clinic?
Yeah, so today we were having a session of Q&A of the young leadership. And then we get the opportunity to meet the former president and the upcoming president, the secretary, and some of the leaders. And then I spoke to the secretary, who is a scientist, and she was like, yeah, it's actually happening. And most people knows that is what is actually happening, but they weren't focusing on the metabolic crisis. They were rather focusing more on the HIV/AIDS, and they said they think it is something that they have to look at.
I mean, I sort of get that in a way. Someone's tested positive for HIV, that becomes the priority, doesn't it? And you want to get them on treatment to minimize the damage done to the immune system. But this is certainly something, the potential threat of type 2 diabetes, that people have got to keep in mind. So I guess you're feeling that, you know, your instincts were right, and this is something you've to continue researching on when you get back home.
Yeah.
So another question for you is, and we hadn't done this throughout the week, the Young Leaders Programme itself. Can you give us just a summary of what it included for you and whether you thought it was worthwhile?
Yeah. So it's a community of young people from different countries who are actually into community advocacy, to see that they are actually contributing to fighting HIV/AIDS and other infectious diseases like human papilloma, hepatitis, STDIS, and then tuberculosis. And then one good aspect of the program is having different young leaders from different backgrounds, different country. We get to network and then understand each other and then learn from each other, and then fill the gap that you are lacking from what you are actually doing in your home country.
Yeah.
There is another opportunity. As a young leader, you have the opportunity to involve more into different sessions of the IAS program. Yeah.
So did you make some good friends comrades, as it were, as you've all been part of this program? Are you all going to stay in touch afterwards?
Yeah. Of course, I actually make a good friends. I mean, I network a lot, and then I actually got the opportunity to talk to the president of ICASA yesterday. We met in 2025 in Ghana, which I didn't get the opportunity, but then yesterday I actually got in contact with him, and now I have in contact with him. And then I actually met the Young Leaders Ambassador, Susan, and I got in touch with her, and she is happy and then resilient. She liked my resilience and how actually working towards contributing HIV/AIDS.
Yeah, lovely, lovely. So you'd recommend it to other young scientists or people from different disciplines?
Yes, so my recommendation to other young scientists is don't actually be where you are. Try to explore and look for a lot of conferences that can actually contribute to your development. And don't just be a scientist and be in your field. Try to find a problem in your community and solve the problem. And
I guess coming to the Global AIDS Conference is a bit of a unique experience because as well as a scientific conference, it has these other tracks like policy, like the behavioral sciences. So you're able to see all the different moving parts of the HIV response.
Yes. So being a global conference and science conference, it's not all about science. I realize that we need business developers, innovators, politicians, a whole lot of field to contribute to this conference. It's not all about scientists. Yeah.
Although science, of course, is the base from which so much else comes.
Yeah.
But I was struck throughout the week, and you did this as well, talk about the importance of tackling stigma and discrimination. Do you feel you've got a better understanding of that as a result of the conversations and the sessions you've seen this week?
Yes. So what I realize is, though everybody is coming up with a research of prevention and treatment, but then we're still lacking in stigmatization because a lot of people are going through stigmatization, and we need more advocacy about stigmatization. We actually need to attack that field, which I think will contribute to the eradication of stigmatization, suicide, abasement, and a whole lot of,
One of the other key features of this conference, of course, is the activism and the protests. Did you see any of them taking place?
Yeah, a lot of them, actually.
Did you join them?
Oh, I didn't join, but then I like what they are doing. And I like the fact that though IAS is facing, not only IAS, the tackling of HIV/AIDS treatment is actually facing a funding crisis. And I like the fact that they are into this field, like sending the news that yes, it is not their faults, them being affected by the diseases, and then the fact that we need a lot of funding to actually attack this crisis.
Yeah. Well, I was at the Brazilian Ministry of Health stand earlier this afternoon and got caught up in a protest that started off with the pharmaceutical companies, but then ended up at the Ministry of Health, calling on the Brazilian Ministry of Health to issue compulsory licenses for long-acting medications straight away. So that was fun and interesting. Well, I see in the background, we have the coordinator from the IAS.
Yes.
Daria, do you want to just pop in and say hello? Come on in.
Hello.
Hi.
So nice to
Good to see you. Well, we're recording, but you obviously know. So,
Yeah.
excellent. Wow. I'll catch up with you in a little bit.
Yes, please.
That's the wonderful thing about doing this set of podcasts outside. Everyone goes by. It's like
Yeah.
a little village. So I wanted to go back to your expectations changing and your worldview changing as a result of this conference. What did change for you? Seeing and meeting people from around the world that you might not have done before? Or were there changes to some of the science and some of the practice of HIV that you hadn't thought of?
Yeah. So being in the health, I can say that there is something different I see, but then what I see is the resilience people are having in order to eradicate this infectious disease is something huge. And I feel like me going back to my home country, I think we need to do more. I need to engage a lot of people. So
This is the second time you've mentioned resilience. It's clearly something that's had a big impact on you.
yes.
Where were some of the examples you saw it, or you saw presentations about it and thought, aha, that's something we could learn from?
Okay, I met this one young Indian guy that they actually develop a vaccine that's tackle impulse. But then it's not only about impulse. When after doing their immunological test, they realize the vaccine actually deal with monkeypox as well. And so I had a chat with him. If they are able to produce this vaccine with a collaboration of a pharmaceutical industry, is there any possibility that they can actually produce a vaccine that can eradicate HIV/AIDS? And he said, no, they don't know. So I told him, is he aware of the crises that is like kind of what changes, what tackle the DNA of the virus that tackle the DNA and then changes the faces and then starts spreading? And he said, yes, him as a scientist, he knows about it, but then he didn't do much research about it. And I said, okay, so you can actually research about it and see whether we can actually come up with a vaccine.
You gave him his instructions.
Yeah. I saw a sort of an advice.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of research. And I came across this research from America that the Latino are actually lacking sort of help from treatment. And we realized that I think almost 27% plus end up into like suicide.
Yes.
And 100 and something percent actually go overdose of. And I asked him why, and they said they feel like the Latinos have like higher, they are very strong. They have higher strength, and so they do every dose they send it to the Latinos. And I was like, wow. So I actually asked him, is the Ministry of Health aware of this? And they said it's sort of a data, quantitative and quantitative data that they took. And I said, I think it would be good if they tailored this to the health sector, and then they will be aware of it, and if maybe they can have a sort of help to the Latinos. Yeah.
Do you think that you come away from the conference with a sense of, aha, this is the biggest priority we as a world in solidarity have to focus on?
With the infectious disease like the HIV/AIDS, which we are focusing on, I think we should focus on more on stigmatization. because stigmatization is actually what is leading to suicide. And seeing, let's say, maybe coming from a young leader, from a young person, having a young people finding themselves into this situation, and then they'll be like, oh no, I'm just giving up. Later on, they just they just like kill themselves. It's actually something that we need to focus more.
Yeah. Well, we just had a brief pause to let, I think this was the sex workers group of activists protesting. So that's what you would have heard in the background. Final thoughts. Anything that we haven't touched on that you think is really important?
Yeah, the trans, actually, the transgender, the LGBT with the HIV. I think they have a bigger platform in the IAS system, which I think is quite okay, because they are the biggest people that can easily contract HIV is, and which is good. I think I'm not one, but then I think it's a good project. Yeah.
Well, and this is a big deal coming from someone in Ghana where the laws are so strict, partly thanks to the British.
Yes.
Yeah. I think one of the things that has been both, for me, a challenge about HIV, but also a real call to action, has been that this is a virus that targets the most sensitive of human behavior, the most policed, the most discriminated against, and we have to find ways of overcoming our internalized discrimination, our internalized stigma, to make sure that people get the care, the treatment, the testing and prevention services they need. So yeah. Well, look, Zarawu, thank you so much for being on both podcasts. It was really great to get you back for the second, because I've also seen, if you don't mind my saying, through the course of the week, a growing sense of optimism and assertiveness from you. And I think that will serve you in really good stead when you get back home to Accra.
Yeah, of course. And I'm very grateful for inviting me to hear from you.
Well, great.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's it for this final episode of A Shot in the Arm in Rio. As you might say, that's a wrap. Thanks to Zarawu. Also, thanks to Erica Spera, our director and producer from A Shot in the Arm Media. Thanks also to Lua. Lua, I can't remember your name, but if you'd like to come up and take a picture, come into the shot and say hi. Here he is. Here's Lua. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. Hope you've enjoyed these podcasts. We're living in a tough age, I know, whether it's funding for overseas development, whether it's wars in the Middle East or wars in Ukraine. These are tough times, but I hope you found these podcasts both interesting and inspiring. I know I certainly have. So with that, have a great summer and a safe summer.